Hey friends, hello and welcome to Learn with Lakshman. We'll talk about practical criticism today. Let's first of all try to understand what is the meaning of the word practical criticism. Practical criticism is a form of literary analysis which focuses exclusively on the text. It takes into consideration the length of the poem, the mood of the poem, the type of poetry, the stanza patterns, the rhyme scheme involved in the poem, and the metrics in it. In the video Practical Criticism Part 1, we have talked about types of poetry, and in the video Practical Criticism Part 2, we have talked about the stanza patterns. In this video, we'll talk about the types of verses, that is blank verse, free verse, and the rhymed verses, and also about the different rhyme schemes used in different poems. There are three types of verses: blank verse, free verse or verse libera, and the rhymed verse. We all know the rhymed verse, but we have to know blank verse and free verse also. So let us first of all begin with the blank verse. What is blank verse? Blank verse is unrhymed iambic pentameter. Iambic pentameter is a line of 5 meters in which each meter contains one unstressed syllable followed by a stressed one. We'll talk about scansion and meter in another video. About English blank verse, Dr. Johnson said, "It is often only verse to eye, for when read aloud it sounds like a speech." In English, Christopher Marlowe, William Shakespeare, John Milton, and T.S. Eliot are the famous poets who used blank verse extensively. Have a look at these lines written in blank verse. "O, thou art fairer than the evening air, clad in the beauty of 1,000 stars. Brighter art thou than flaming Jupiter, when he appeared to hapless Semele." Here's another example from Shakespeare's Hamlet. "To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether it is nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing in them to die to sleep, no more, and by a sleep to say we end. The heartache and the thousand natural shocks that flesh is heir to, it is a consummation devotedly to be wished, to die to sleep perchance to dream, aye, there is the rub." Free verse. Free verse is also called verse libera. This is the verse which does not conform to any exact metrical pattern. It is not regularly rhythmic. The poet using free verse must create a form without the metrical pattern. Free verse seeks to free itself from the formality of metrical patterns. Free verse seeks to free itself from the formality of metrical feet and syllable count too. Free verse uses variable line length as unit in the rhythm and to determine a poem's form. If free verse does not conform to any metrical pattern or any rhyme scheme, then how can it be differentiated from prose? Free verse has intentional line breaks. Prose does not have these line breaks. Therefore, free verse looks like the poem. Earl of Surrey, in his translation of Aeneid, used free verse. It is said that the earliest example of free verse is found in Bible, Psalm 23. Look at this example. This is Psalm 23, also called David's Psalm. 1. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. 2. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures, he leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul, he leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadows of death, I'll fear no evil, for thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. This is just a part of Psalm 23 from Bible. There are plenty of examples of blank verse and free verse used in English literature, especially in English poetry. The third type of verse is called rhymed verse. Rhymed verse is a verse that has rhyme. What is rhyme? Rhyme is a structural device where two words sound the same except for their first consonant. Rhyme is a phenomenon that is an observable fact of sound. For centuries, poetry was written in rhyme. Rhyme carries a great importance in poetry. What does rhyme do? That is, what is the purpose of rhyme in poetry? In poetry, rhyme contributes to the poetic structure. It gives the poem shape and structural pattern. The satisfaction of our expectation is pleasurable in rhyme. Rhyme is pleasing because it has music in it. A rhymed word gains prominence. Rhyme makes words memorable and poems easy to remember. Rhyme also reinforces rhythmic pattern of the poem. Rhyme can also be used to affect the place and tone of the poetry. Rhyming words are brought together as a pair, and even if they are separated by two or more lines, they can still be heard as a pair. A good rhyme facilitates wit and humor. Rhyme can be used for fun also. Let us try to understand rhyme with the help of these lines from Shakespeare's Macbeth. Weird sisters hand in hand, posters of sea and land, thus go about, thrice to thine, thrice to mine, and thrice more to make up nine. The famous example of rhyme can be seen in Robert Frost's poem Stopping by the Wood, where he says, "Woods are lovely, dark and deep. I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep." Types of rhyme. There are different types of rhyme. We need to understand those types of rhyme also to locate the rhyme in a particular poem. Rhyme rich. Rhyme rich appears rarely in English. It was used extensively by the French poet Victor Hugo. It consists of the repetition of a word which has two or more meanings in such a way that first appearance has one meaning and the second has another. For example, spring is late, I'm going blind. In his dark room, my neighbor draw the blind. This is an example from failing to acknowledge. Masculine rhyme. The rhyme that falls on the final stressed syllable at the end of a line is called masculine rhyme. These rhymes give a clear and definite ending to the line. This is simple rhyme on one syllable like rang, sang, mad, bad, sad, and so on. Here is an example from Milton's El Allegro. Come and trip it as you go on the light, fantastic toe. It is another example from T.S. Eliot's love song of J. Alfred Prufrock. In the room, women come and go, talking up Michelangelo. Feminine rhyme. Feminine rhyme is a rhyme in the final two syllables in a line where the final syllable is unstressed, like pester, fester, coldly, boldly, glory, story, and so on. Have a look at these lines. We threw my heart leaden, for golden friends I had, for many a rose-lipped maiden, and many a light-foot lad. Triple rhyme. Triple rhyme is a rhyme of three syllables. It's quite unusual in English. For example, illusion, delusion, revision, division, and so on. Half rhyme or para-rhyme. In half rhyme or para-rhyme, opening and closing consonants are the same, but the vowels in the middle of the rhyming words are different. For example, greet, great, bland, blind, battle, bottle, and cape, cope. Here is a couplet from Wilfred Woolf's poem The Strange Meeting. Have a look. And by his smile I knew that sullen hall, by his dead smile I knew that we stood in hell. I rhyme. I rhyme is also called visual rhyme, and it is sometimes also referred to as false rhyme. I rhymes are the words which look as though they should rhyme from their spelling, but they are actually pronounced differently. For example, love, move, through, bow, pro, bow. Internal rhyme. Internal rhyme occurs within a line of poetry rather than at the end. They are useful in understanding a poem's structure, mood, and meaning. Have a look at this example. It is from A.C. Swinburne's Human to Proserpine. See these lines. Thou hast conquered, O pale Galilean, the world has grown grey from the breath. We have drunken of things Lethan, and fed on the fullness of death. Along with the rhyme, it is also important to understand the patterns of sounds. Let us discuss patterns of sounds also. Consonants. In consonants, words have their final consonantal sounds in common. For example, yend, blind, put, bet, will, haul, and so on. Alliteration. Alliteration is a form of consonance and is the repetition of consonants at the beginning of the words or syllables. For example, in a cooing of the clip between lowland and highland. Assonance. Assonance is also called interior rhyme. Assonance is the repetition of vowel sounds. It's exactly opposite of consonance because consonance is the repetition of consonant sounds and assonance is the repetition of vowel sounds. Remember, in assonance, only sound is considered, not the spelling. Have a look at these lines from John Keats's poem Ode on Grecian Urn. Thou still unravished bride of quietness, thou foster child of silence in slow time. Onomatopoeia. The word onomatopoeia means name making. It is a capability of a word to echo sense of a word as in swish or plop. Strict onomatopoeia is confined to those words whose meaning is reinforced by their sound. See this example from T.S. Eliot's The Waste Land. Only a cock stood on the roof tree, cuckoo-ree-coo, cuckoo-ree-coo. You can have a lot many examples like this. This is really an interesting topic if you really love to read the poems. See, in poems, what is important is the sounds. If you want to enjoy a poem thoroughly, try to understand rhyme in it and try to read it aloud with the rhythm. Hope you have liked the content of the video. If you have liked it, then press the like button, share this video with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe for the channel if you have not done it yet. Thank you very much for watching.